Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we are going to be discussing Love is Blind. And so we're going to be doing, because I'm caught up completely, so we're going to be getting through all the Love is Blind, get that done, and then we will be moving back into normal programming, back to the stuff that we have kind of been pushing back. We'll kind of move to that in next week, early next week. So there is a possibility that there isn't going to be any episodes though for Monday. I'm not going to have much of an opportunity to do a lot of recording on during the weekend. So that's basically what's kind of going to be happening. It's usually kind of what happens anyway, because I have to work on Monday in the office. So usually that's how it is anyway, but there really won't be any opportunity for anything to really come up. We'll try though, but it most likely won't be. So you'll get episodes starting back again on Tuesday, and we'll kind of get back into normal programming with, I'll kind of decide what that's going to be after we kind of get through the Love is Blind episodes, what's gonna kind of be the next on my list. But we will see how this goes. Um, so I think what we'll probably aim to do here is we'll do 2 episodes today as usual. Probably get this one a little later because I am recording this on Friday, so you're gonna get this a little later, and then you'll get one, the second one for today, and then you'll get the remaining episodes that I have planned for Saturday. I don't think we'll have anything Sunday. But that's where we're at. That's kind of the starting stuff. Let's get into the reason we're here. So, episode 9 of Love is Blind. Is love enough? So, Taylor, I think she says she hates Garrett's hair. Is that what I wrote? Anyway, we'll move on to the next thing. Tyler and Ashley, they kind of talk kids, how many they want to have, what names they want to name those kids. She, I don't think she wants any juniors or any Tyler 2s or Tyler 3s. He would like to be able to name their kids, but that's probably not going to happen. She says no. Anyway, Nick is looking for noodles, I believe, in the fridge. Raw noodles in the fridge, because he thinks that's where the noodles are being kept, is in the fridge, then in a cupboard because they're dry noodles. My guy. But he also has no clue, because she basically asked him, can you boil noodles for me? Because he's offered to help with cooking dinner, and he doesn't know how to boil noodles. It's one of the easiest things. I don't understand how you at 28 years old has never even boiled a pot of noodles. I don't get it. I don't think he's necessarily saying he didn't before, but it's like, but then I feel like that's something you don't necessarily forget. What? Um, he's like, how much water do I fill this pot up to? Like, he doesn't have any clue. He said he's only boiled pasta once in his life. Are you kidding? But I don't remember exactly what age I started boiling noodles, but I was in high school and I've been doing it ever since, you know? Um, so I'm confused how you don't know how to boil a pot of, it's not rocket science. You boil the water. Like, I know some people they'll boil the pasta in the water as it's boiling. We don't do that. But there's no really wrong way, I guess, to do it, but we just don't do it that way. You really should boil the water first and then do it, but you boil the water, you stick it in when we first start. You stick the noodles in the pot, and then you let it you boil it. You make sure you keep it at a high heat so that the bubbles help the noodles not stick. Like, it's not rocket science. It's really not. And boiling a pot of noodles, depending on how, like, what type of noodles you're using, or whatever, because the thinner, faster cooks, the thicker, the longer it'll cook, whatever. But it should really only take 3 to 5 minutes, or maybe 5 to 7 minutes, or whatever. Like, it doesn't take that long, and it's not rocket science. What is this guy? That doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean I like her. But I'm just trying to say, like, what in the Lord? His parents have done him a disservice, honestly. So he's supposed to be meeting her brother, Cade. Um, so he does get there and they're gonna be like, "Oh, how tall are you?" Because we wanna, point out the fact that Nick is not that tall. Um, but Hannah's talking and she kinda says that he is only dated, or maybe he said that he's only dated 2 women before, which is whatever. Kate is like, "Well, I have dated 0 women, so you're doing better than me because he's gay. He's a queen." I like her brother. I don't know what went wrong with her, but her brother seems cool. Like, even her brother's like, "She's a bitch." So, um, Nick left apparently all his clothes for her to fold. I'm sorry, what? Like, he, I guess, washed his clothes. It's amazing. He knows how to do it. And then just threw them on the bed, I guess, and had her fold his. Are you okay, sir? Like, really and truly, are you okay? I don't know. I know she's not working because she had to quit her job, but eventually she's gonna probably want to get another job and all of that. And like, you what's gonna happen when she starts working again is the theme of the story here. But um so he says to her, "Well, yeah, that's what happens when you're unemployed, right?" Whoa. Now, my girl made a choice to be unemployed to be on the show, which, how's that working for you? But it's just like, that's kind of a shit thing to say. She's not your servant. She should be trying to look for another job. Like, not serving you. What the fuck? Anyway, so then Kate and Nick are left alone to talk, and Kate says, "Hey, I get it. She can be a lot, but she can dish it kind of situation, but she can't take it." And that's so true. She dishes all of this shit in his direction about how he's this, he's that, whatever. But as soon as it's directed back at her, she has a problem with it. If you can't take it, don't dish it. But um he says she will repeat the same thing 20 times. And it's tough for him because, like, she's constantly nagging at him, constantly, you know, making fun of him for certain things, or questioning him about certain things because I guess in her mind he's not up to par. But, like, how is that gonna make anything better, you know? And I did write here because I noticed, I think it's her dog, right? Was there leaves in the dog's fur? Because, like, she's petting the dog and fine, whatever. But I swear I saw some leaves in this dog's fur, and I'm like, you can't take the leaves out of the fur? Like, anyway. Back to Taylor and Garrett. She tells him that she is totally grateful for how he's handled Monica and Steven. If you remember, they have broken up. And so it looks like his parents are taking him, or sorry, so I think his parents are taking him, potentially moving, and, him getting married quickly pretty hard. Like, I don't think they want him to marry her. I think that's kind of what it comes down to. I don't think they want him to marry her for their own really selfish reasons. Um, he said they're going to be heading to San Diego for him to meet her family. And he worries if her dad will say no to them getting married, because she has made it very clear, if her parents don't like him, if her parents don't agree with this, she's not marrying him. Um, so we're at Tim's place, and he says that he loves dino nuggets. He says the dino nuggets taste better than regular nuggets. Okay. And He has two paintings, question mark, of him and his dog as royalty. What? Like this guy, that's weird. I'm sorry. If I walked into the home of my partner and he has photoed frames, huge photoed frames of him and his dog dressed up as if they are the monarch, I'd have questions. I really would. Those things are going down. Yeah. Anyway, um, and his dog also has his own couch. I don't know if it's a girl or a boy, but they have their own couch that looks just like his couch because why not? Wow. Okay. Ramses is meeting Marissa's mom and the rest of her family. And her siblings are all from different dads. So there's a lot of half siblings going on here. And I think basically the moral of the story is this dad gets around. So there's a lot of kids in the mix here. Well, I think her dad, I think. I don't know. Am I confused here? I don't know. Whatever. Um, so her mom basically says to him, and I loved this comparison. I thought, yes, mom, that is exactly what's happening here. She says, I do not like the Elder Barge Jerry curl hairstyle you have going on. And I said, that is so on point. He does have an Elder Barge look. And I also don't like it. Like, yikes, my guy. But anyway, it'd be interesting. I think the look I'm most interested to see or person I'm most interested to see how they look differently, because we know they film out about a year prior to the reunion, is what Ramses looks like now. I'm so interested into knowing what this person looks like now. But so her mom came here with a photo album of her, kind of all these different, pictures of her. He says that he did go to college, but he dropped out when his dad died. It was hard on him. I guess he just didn't see the point of going through with school. He said, I've always worked though. And I think the reason why this is being brought up because Marissa is a pretty well educated woman. She's a clerk, a law clerk, and she's also in school still to become a lawyer. And that's a lot of work. I mean, even being a law clerk, because hello, as I've mentioned, I am. Um, it's a lot of work. Law is never ending, and then you add the fact that you're in school to become a lawyer as well. It's she's a very well-educated woman, and I think it is interesting to kind of not there's no reason why I wouldn't be worried, I guess, from I don't know about her, but I wouldn't be worried about necessarily being someone who's at the same quote unquote level of education that I'm at, as long as you are hardworking, you do the work that you are doing, that's what the more important thing for me. And you're, making, you know, enough money to be financially secure and stable. But it's just like, um, I do understand, I guess, from her mother's perspective, I think she has really instilled good education in her children. I understand that as well. My mom did the same with, I don't think my mom necessarily cared what you did, but she was very particular of you go from high school to college and that's that. There's no gap years, nothing like that. You're going from one to the next. You're going to get your education. I don't care what it is, but you're going to get it. So I definitely understand, I think from her mom's perspective, because that's very much like mine. But so I do think she's probably out here thinking, why is my daughter, who's this well-educated woman who's still currently in school to become a lawyer, is fooling around with a man who dropped out of college, and never made the attempt to go back. So yeah. Anyway, um, She gets it, but she says, "You need to work because you don't want me to be there taking care of your kids." Um, she's like, "I don't wanna live with Marissa." She's like, "She's a bitch. I don't wanna be anywhere near her. I don't wanna come help you. Like, you need to be able to do what you gotta do." And she tells them yeah. He tells them, sorry, that I was married before, and he explains kind of what happened with the marriage there, and I could tell the shift with her mom. The shift with that was kind of like, "Oh, you've been married before, so why didn't that work? And how is that going to then reflect onto the marriage with my daughter?" So I could kinda see that flip happen with her mom when he mentioned that. But he explains that they both agreed to divorce. They just, yeah, they both agreed. I think it kind of made her feel a little bit better, but then I could kind of see that worry kind of set back in again. But Marissa leaves him alone to talk with the family, and her mom is like, "Listen, I don't think marriage is," or sorry, she said, "I don't believe marriage is forever." She's a realist with that. So I think you need to do a prenup. My daughter's gonna become a lawyer. She's gonna make probably more money than you at some point here. I don't know what he does versus what she does, but even clerks can make a decent amount of money once, you're have enough experience. So, you know, she's potentially gonna make more money than you. And I think she needs to protect her assets, and as you would want to protect yours as well. And I've already had my views on the prenup agreements when we kind of talked about this with sunglasses guy and Madeline with her Beardy shop. Like, oh man, they better come back. Not because I want to see him. I think he's an idiot, but I just want more Madeline. Anyway, um, but I talked about it there where I'm like, I think that, or maybe it was Ashley and Manuel, but that I think with prenups, it doesn't have to be this looming negative thing. I think even if you don't have the 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 assets, it's just a way to protect whatever you brought into to the marriage. Does protect what you make, because that's the thing too, is that I don't know if her mom is fully aware of here. We talk about she's gonna be making more money. They're getting married now. Whatever is accumulated throughout the marriage, he's entitled to. So she's not yet a lawyer. So she's eventually going to become a lawyer throughout the marriage. He is entitled to half of whatever. So yes, it's great in the sense of it will protect whatever she had prior to coming into the marriage and him as well. But whatever is made throughout the marriage with both of them, um, as well as her fucking student loans. Remember, her mom is smart here. No, I'm assuming her student loan would have been prior, so it would have started prior, so it wouldn't have anything to do with that either. But anyway, um, so but whatever she makes in this marriage is he's entitled to, because it's whatever had happened in the marriage. But she goes on to say that she's been through a lot of fuck ups from men, probably including her father. And he says he has no problem with doing a prenup, which is a good, because I don't want my kids fucked over. She's a mama bear through and through. She wants to protect her kids. Um, and Marissa comes back at this point, but she kind of doubles down and says, "Listen, if I want to do a prenup, I'll do a prenup. Like, that has nothing to do with you." And it's like, okay, but Marissa, so would you not have done one? Like, you're going to become a lawyer. Would you have not done one just to just protect whatever it is you have coming in? Like, wouldn't you not have just done that anyway? And your mom has this conversation with him probably because she knows you wouldn't have, and he agrees to do it, and you wanna double back down and be like, "Well, no, we'll make that decision." What? But that's basically that. We end this off being, well, basically saying like, "So do we have your blessing?" And mom says, "Listen, you hurt my daughter. I will cut your dick off. Oh, right. Well, y'all hold on to that one for later on because I'm gonna have a question that I think needs to be asked at the reunion. So yeah, we'll leave it at that for now. Then we see Nick is meeting Hannah's parents. Her mom looks just like her. Like she looks just like her mom. And her dad, Ryan, he's a hot man. But we talk football for a bit here because, of course, Nick's a football guy. He's whatever. He's a kicker, whatever that means. And I think that Hannah ends up asking her parents, "Well, are you going to grill him?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, "Why? Why would we? Why would we need to do that?" And Hannah's like, "Well, it's because like I'm so perfect that he, can't find anything, um, better than I guess her or whatever." Then Nick, he leaves at this point and is just left with Hannah and her parents. And they tell Hannah they like him. They also tell her, you gotta let some stuff go. You're too much. So, and I mean, again, I don't have an issue with a woman being too much, be too much, have your expectations, do whatever. But it's one thing to be a lot and take up space and have your expectations of your partner. And then there's that, but then there's also just being a bully, mean, rude unnecessarily while doing that. And that's the problem I have with Hannah. It's not that she has expectations of her I do not think her expectations are crazy. I don't think um they're anything less than what anyone else would expect of their partner. I don't think it is. It's how she goes about it. It's how she talks to him. It's how it just, she's not a nice person, nor do I think she is ready to be someone's wife because to be someone's wife, it's not just about you and the things that you want and things that you need. It is about both sides, and there has to be compromise. And she hasn't learned compromise yet. She doesn't think she needs to compromise. She thinks they do, but she doesn't. So until she realizes that, she is never going to be ready to be a wife. Um, so that's just how that goes. But anyway, they say to her, you gotta let some stuff go. Everyone has flaws. No one's gonna be perfect. You need to loosen up a bit. And she's like, maybe I need to get a massage. That's a start. um, well, they say, well, you got a new friend who can help you with said massage, maybe. She probably would still critique him and how he's doing it wrong. But anyways, um, she says he won't do it. He won't even suck my toe. And her dad's like, Jesus, like, I don't need to know. And he's like, your toe, like, by your toe. Girl, aim a little higher with the sucking. Suck, okay. I know everyone has their thing. I'm not kink shaming. I don't care. You want someone to suck your toe, suck your toe. I just don't understand. I wouldn't want to stick my toe in someone's mouth. Like, it's just not appealing, you know? But to each their own. So then we're at Alex's place, and there's just shit everywhere, like everywhere. If you don't watch this show and you want to understand, go to this scene. It is so bad. There's clothes all over the bed, all over the floor, all over the place. And she's like, I didn't know what I wanted to pack. So I just kind of took everything out and I just didn't have time to put everything back. You don't say. There would be no way that she could have put everything back. She would still be there putting the stuff back. It was wow. Wow. Like, it's in your closet, in your drawers and whatnot. Can't you kind of just do a mental picture of what you want to put in your bags to travel instead of throwing it all over the place? Because how is that any better? Because then how do you see like what it is that you want? Because it's literally in piles on your bed, on your floor, and whatnot. How does that? How? Please, someone help me figure that one out. Um, but anyway, um, He says, "Oh, you have a big mirror." I don't know why he said that. I don't know if that was supposed to be suggestive. I don't know. It was big, but, like, I don't know what the point of actually pointing out that the big mirror, but whatever again. Um, so she also has, like, these trash bags, one's for donations, one's for whatever. So she's like, "I just have to go through that too." But if you already put it in the bag for donation, then why are you gonna then go back through the bag, to determine whether or not you actually wanna put it up for I'm confused. Y'all, I am confused about everything. Because again, we do the same thing. We donate to, Canadian Diabetes Association, um, and when we know we're donating stuff, it's put in a box or in a bag or whatever, put down in our basement. It sits there until we collect enough and we donate it. We don't go through it again though. It wasn't there, it's there. But anyway, okay. Um, so she has a sticker of herself in her fridge, and I wrote Ed style. Y'all, she has a sticker of her own face, just like Ed. I have questions. I have questions, I really do. So we are reading Taylor's Friends, and her friend got Garrett a fish, a fish from something. I can't read what I wrote here since he loves them so much. And they question, like, are you really sure you're ready to move to San Diego? They're saying to him. And he says, yes, that, she's the most important thing. It's a quantum leap, he says. My little science boy. It's a quantum leap. Um, he says it's actually not that big, but anyways, I love him. I love him. Um, can I pray? Okay, I'm not gonna go ahead, guys. Because like I said, I've watched every episode. 100% caught up here. I will leave my thought here with what I was about to say for that episode so that I don't spoil. So, Ramses and Marissa are debriefing about the meetup with her family. So the family's great. Um, she says, "My mom, she needs therapy, but she's fine." But they talk about the timeline in terms of having kids. He says he wants 4, and she's like, "But I'm 32." Or no, sorry, it's not that he wants 4, sorry. He said, "Wait, 4 years." She said, "But I'm 32." Like, 4 years is a lot for 32. And if I caught this correctly, I believe she said here that she has PCOS. So, yeah, if she's 32 and she wants to have kids, I know, like, the whole thing of, oh, 35, scientifically, yes, but, like, shouldn't have to worry about this looming thing at 35, you know? But when you have PCOS, again, as a person who does, um, starting in 4 years at 32 is not at all an option. It would not be an option for me, that would be a deal breaker. Hell, 3 years would be a tough pill to swallow as well, but at least you have a little more time. But again, you don't have a lot of time because what if it doesn't happen naturally? Again, kind of going through what I'm at, 33, um, going through this and kind of opening up a little bit here about my journey here, but being 2 years into trying to start a family and having to go through that journey of now going through fertility clinic and kind of hearing stories of people who have also gone through this journey and um you don't have a lot of time. You won't have a lot of options past a certain point, especially if you want to try to do it the old-fashioned way before potentially having to go that route. And again, everyone's journey with PCOS is very different. PCOS is not the end all be all. It's not like you can't get pregnant, but everyone's journey is different. But it's expecting her to wait 4 years or whatever, it's, like, easy for you to say, really and truly. I know maybe that sounds not so nice to say, but it's really easy for him to say when he is not the one who has to, deal with that time frame, um, deal with carrying a child. Because that's the thing, like, We don't know what you can contend with when you're actually carrying a child, at a certain point in your life. So I do think 4 years is way too much. Um, so actually, I think it was him who said 3 years, not her, and she says, "What about 2.5 years?" Because that's, I think, a little better, gives you a little honestly, every little bit helps. But now she, um, needs to talk about, prevention up until that point. She's like, "Maybe I do have to consider going back on birth control." But the thing with birth control, especially for someone with PCOS, is you may and again, everyone's journey with PCOS is different, but I think the main culprit with PCOS is the hormonal imbalances. So the thing is if you're have these hormone imbalances, is pumping more hormone into your body the right way to go? And what does that mean if I'm gonna be on birth control for potentially 2.5 years, 3 years, whatever it may be? How is that then going to affect my body at the other end of it? So that's the whole thing. It's not just a matter of someone just, you know, being okay to take birth control, taking the birth control and knowing that everything's gonna be fine at the other end. It's not that. You can't just think that way. You have to think about, "Okay, how is this going to affect?" Now, I've been on the pill before, never for long periods of time, but I have been on it before. And at the point in time where I'm not really worried about what that's going to do for me at the point when because again, you have to wean your body off of it. You may have been on it for 2.5 years, but it could take a year for your body to get back to normal. So that's a year wasted, you know? So, these are all things that, like, do you really want to put yourself through that? So, she kind of says that, and I guess he's okay with that idea, but she's not really sure she wants to do that, and I think that's fair for her because I wouldn't want to. Like, I've put a hard absolute no on doing birth control, um, right now when I don't know what's gonna do to my body. I haven't been on it in, like, 6 years. So it's not gonna be an option. I wouldn't be an option for me either. It just wouldn't. And it shouldn't have to. It shouldn't just be up to the women. So she says, um, "Well, what about condom sex?" And y'all, he says, "I don't like condom sex." He doesn't like it. So he doesn't wanna do it, y'all. Um, he says that it's not enjoyable for him. Um, and he needs I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve to be 100% satisfied in sex as well, but there are options for you. If you don't want to use a traditional condom, then why don't you try a thinner one? One like, they have them out there. There's I think one's, like, depending on the brand you're looking at, there's, like, Naked, there's Um, thin thin, really thin. I don't know. I it's been a minute since I've used condoms as well, but it's there's options out there for people that you can still have that experience, but you're also having you're having safe sex, or in this case, preventative sex, or preventative pregnancy. So that's I again, I find it selfish on his part to kind of say, "Listen, I wanna be able to enjoy sex, so, I don't wanna use this, but it's okay for her to pump hormones into her body. That's okay." This is why I'm saying that there needs to be, like, a birth control pill for men. I remember it being a storyline in Working Moms when the show was still on. There needs to be something like that, and I think there is, or it's, like, in the prototype phase or whatever the hell, or the testing phase, I'm not sure. But there needs to be something out there for men because it's like, "Okay, well then, since you don't wanna use condoms, and that's fine, whatever, that's you don't wanna use it, you're, uh, entitled to your opinion, but then there needs to be something that can be in its place that doesn't mean put a woman putting hormones into her body. So, yeah, so he's kind of with that. And she then says, "Okay, well, the other option is we just have sex unprotected and reap the consequences of that. You know, you sure you can do the pull-out method, but like, okay, here's what I'll say. In my experience with my partner prior to us talking about starting to start a family, we did the we maybe it's not the right way. We did use protection up until a certain point, but then we're like, well, if it happens, it happens type situation, but we hadn't yet really said we're gonna we're gonna really start here. We would use protection during ovulation. That's what we would do. We would use it during that point throughout that entire week or whatever. We would use protection. And every other point in time, we would be unprotected, but pull out method. And that's what we would do. Now it worked for us, but we were in a point where we're like ready to go. But prior to that, no, we used protection because I didn't want to go on the pill and he respected that. So we used protection. Like, it's just it's to me, it's just an excuse, honestly. And because what have you guys been doing all this time then? Have you been using protection? You know? So you're trying to say that it hasn't been enjoyable? Like, I have questions. But she says to him, "Listen, I'm okay with getting pregnant." Um, and he said he just wants sex to be equally enjoyable for both of them, and that's why he doesn't want to use protection. And she says, "Well, I'm not gonna go on birth control." But that's the thing. You don't wanna have kids with me right now, and that's you're right, and that's fine, but I'm not going on the pill. So we're gonna have to figure something out. You know? At that point for me, it'd be sex is a goddamn privilege. Seriously. If but she says for herself, she's perfectly fine with the idea of them, potentially getting pregnant. So, you know, she's fine with it. Anyway, Hannah is meeting Nick's parents, and his mom tells her that she is beautiful, and she says not a thing back. This is the time, ma'am, where you say, "Oh, so are you." She doesn't say shit back to her. Anyway, she loves pineapples, so Hannah bought her pineapple stuff for his mom. So, um, just different pineapple things, shaped pineapple things. Like, yeah, so she loves pineapples. Um, and his dad got balls, just balls. I can't remember what kind of balls they were, but balls. Um, Hannah helps his mom with dinner because that's what women do. That's the feel I got from this scene as okay, men, get out of the kitchen, let the women do the work type situation and in the kitchen because that's where we belong. But I'm not trying to say that's necessarily what was going on here, but that's what it felt like to me, and I hated it. But whatever, I guess. Again, teach their own. So she's making Cuban food, which looked so good. Hannah says that, I call him Nikki D. Um, and Rico Suave is kind of was the name that was in the pods for him. And they say they like her. They like her. Anyway, something has happened in the next scene between Tyler and Ashley. And I'm gonna tell you guys that I'm gonna have some thoughts at the end of this. I will be. Bear with me. So apparently he kept something pretty serious from her, and I'm thinking, okay, what is this big thing that he's kept from her? Like, what is going on here? Y'all, he has kids. He has kids, and I'm out here being like, "Wait, what?" So, apparently, he has 2 kids or 3 kids, sorry, 2 girls and a boy. He donated sperm, Kyle style, okay? He said that he met these people are friends of his, um, The one friend, I think she's in a same-sex relationship, they wanna have kids, so he donated his sperm. So, he said he's not their father in any way, he doesn't have a connection with them in that sense, um, but she says, "I'm gonna get through it here, and then I'll kinda have my thoughts and feelings on both ends of this." Um, but, she's feeling invalidated by this whole thing, like, why didn't he tell her prior to this? I think she has this view of, if I knew in the pods, she may not have gone farther with him. She might have not, I don't know. She says, "Is love enough?" She's like, "Is it enough? Is a relationship enough? Is the marriage, gonna be whatever?" She's like, "I don't know." But he apologizes, and he says that I think he said he was trying to shield her, or I'm not sure here. And I think, like he said, I think something around those lines. But anyway, he says, like, give me a chance and whatever. But the main thing here is he says that he didn't have a relationship with her. I think this more comes up in the next episode, but he said he didn't have much of a relationship with these kids. He's not a father to them. He he doesn't have that. I think he kinda said that he sees them once in a bit, blue moon, but they don't really know him in that sense. I think that's what he said, but I could be incorrect with that. I think maybe he led with he doesn't have a relationship with them, I'm not sure. Now, we all know that's a lie. We have seen photos. We have seen this guy is dad to these kids. There's just no way around this. He is dad to these kids. There's rumor that he might have actually had a relationship with this woman that he was friends with or is friends with, whatever, I'm not sure. Um, that's a little more up in the air, um, which that makes it a little weirder at the same time as well. There's rumor that, like Kyle style, or the guy with 1,000 kids style as well, that he may have actually had sexual intercourse with the woman in order to get her pregnant. There's a lot of rumors kind of going around with this. His mom is also very much involved in these kids' lives. She is grandma to these kids. So he lied to her. And this, for me, when I heard all of this, when this came, because I watched this episode and then I listened to Reality Gaze and it just went downhill from there. I talked to Sharon about this, and I know Sharon hasn't been on these episodes. She hasn't even watched the season. Y'all, she hasn't even watched UK. Anyway, but she heard about this, so she kind of sent me other things as well. So I did see photos of him with these kids. It's not good, and this will be interesting to hear about in the reunion to see what he has to say about this. But he and his mother scrubbed the social medias of these kids. That's horrific. That I'm very angry. I root for her. I do. Um, but I don't root for him. So in turn, I don't root for them as a couple. And I did. And they were one of the ones I felt very emotional about when they when he proposed to her. And now I just don't feel anything. And that's so frustrating to me. But the other part of it that I was going to say here, but it's hard for me to say this now, kind of knowing what we know now with Tyler. But the thing for me is, I, yes, would want to know, and I would want to know as soon as possible that you donated sperm and you do have children out there. I would want to know that 1,000%, but I wouldn't make it a big deal that you did, because you're helping somebody. I don't have an issue with you doing that. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think everyone should be able to have kids, if they want to have kids. And sometimes people are just not able to. So I totally am with that, but it is about the lie. So that's the thing. But yeah, it's hard for me to really go in on her about this when I know what I know now. So it's just like, okay, like she had every right to feel the way she did because he was lying to her. So, but anyway, that is it for this episode. I was hoping to maybe do two in one episode, but I talked a bit about this episode. So that's basically it for that. The next episode we're going to get is episode 10 of Love is Blind. So that is it for this episode. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there. And you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.